Welcome back, everyone. This week in Level E, we will be working on lessons 121 through 124, and you'll need worksheets 93 through 96, the practice sheets 12 and 13, 6 squares from your geometry panels, 5 rubber bands, centimeter cubes, tiles, the T-square, the 30-60 triangle, and the drawing board, colored pencils, which are optional, but your children might enjoy them, the pyramid and the cone from the geometric solids set, a ruler, the safety compass, the math card games book, and the multiplication cards. In lesson 121, we will work with cubes and learn about nets. The warm-up is a multivide. So let's look at a net and see how it is labeled.
All right, so here are the yellow squares from your geometry panels, and I have turned mine over and labeled them. So if you'll notice, R is for right, L is for left, T is for top, B is for bottom, F is for front, and A is for aft. Because we couldn't use rear, because we have an R for right, and we couldn't use back because we have B for bottom. So A is for aft, like the aft of a ship. So even though I've labeled these, it's just for demonstration purposes for you to see what I'm doing. We don't really want you to label your own because we want your children to think in their mind how these pieces would go together. So the worksheet says to lay out the squares according to the pattern that they see on the worksheet. So here's the worksheet. And notice how the only clue they give them is where to put the bottom one. So I will lay out the pattern according to the worksheet. So there's 2 blocks above the bottom, and then 1 to the left and 1 to the right of the bottom and 1 below the bottom. Okay. And then your child needs to figure out how this net, this is a cube that's spread out, can be folded up into a cube, and then write on their worksheet what position that card is in. So if this is the bottom, this one would be the front. So just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to replace this one with the front card. Okay, then if this is the front, this would be the right. So we're going to go ahead and make that one the right card. Likewise, the next one would be the left. And as I said, you don't have these labels. This is just what they're going to write, what your student's going to write on their worksheet. So then if we have the cube folded up this far, we have bottom, front, left, and right, then this card here is going to be the aft, the back card. So here's the aft, and then this card would be the top. So here's the top. So if I folded it up like this top card would actually become the top of the cube. Now, of course, your child can put the rubber bands on and actually build the cube to make sure that it makes the cube that they want. Okay, so for the next one in problem number 1, the bottom actually changes position. It's now here. So we have to have the aft card back here. There's the aft and the bottom card. Then we have the front card, the top card, and the left and right card. So you can see if I were to fold this up, this is the front. We're going to rotate this all the way up. There's the front. This becomes the bottom. And here's the aft. And then the left and the right fill in the space. Now for the third example, it's a little tricky because the bottom is listed over here on the right, starting on the right side. So if we start with the bottom on the right side, then the left side would go here and the top card would go here. The aft card would go here. The right card would go up here on the top and the front card would go here. Now I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and build this with rubber bands so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, so now I've attached them all with rubber bands, but I can still lay out the net. You can still see the labels that I put on the squares. So I'm going to fold the front up, then the bottom, the top, the aft, and the rear. And then you would just rotate the cube so that we now have the bottom on the bottom. Okay, so this is an activity that really engages your child's visualization because eventually they won't have to build this cube. They can just picture folding up the sides in their mind and figuring out which side is which.
Okay, so have your child walk through all of the problems by first trying to imagine how the net will fold up in their mind. And if after trying, your child wants to physically fold the geopanels to check to make sure, that's great. But we do want them to try the exercise in their mind first so that they practice that skill. Go ahead and ask the in conclusion questions and then play card exchange, which is P27 in the Math Card Games book. And there is a blog about it on the Right Start Math website. I'll leave a link for that in the description. This game is pretty fun. It can get a little noisy. If you've ever played the commercial game called Pit, which is a stock exchange game, this is very similar to that. In lesson 122, we will be working with isometric drawings. The warm-up is the second multivide on practice sheet 12. And isometric drawings are a way to show 3 dimensions on a flat surface. Your child will first create a figure with centimeter cubes or with tiles, and then draw the figure with the drawing tools. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first problem.
Okay, so the first thing that your student is supposed to do is to read problem number 1 to figure out what angles these lines are at. So obviously the vertical ones are at 90 degrees. And then the angled ones are at 30 degrees because this is the 30-degree angle. And that lines up perfectly with these diagonal lines that are going across the page. All right, so that's how he or she's going to be able to draw the next drawing. So notice that this bottom line on the cube lines up there. And let's say the middle line here, the vertical line going up and down, that lines up with the triangle here. And here, and here. And then for this line over here, you just flip the triangle over, and it lines up right there with the 30-degree angle. So one thing that might be helpful is to have your child create the cube first. So here I've created the base of the cube. Notice it's 2 by 2. And then I add another 2 by 2 on top. And now I have the cube represented in the base, in the centimeter cubes. And that's exactly what we have here on the picture. The assignment now is to make this actually a 3 by 3 cube and draw it over here, starting at this dot. So you can see they could go, they can either create the cube with the centimeter cubes so that they know what they're drawing, or just simply draw 3 lines over and then 3 lines up and follow this pattern, just extending it by 1 cube to the right, 2 up, and then another row on top. So here's what that would look like. Add a stack of 2 here, here, and here in the corner. and then 4 more cubes over here. Clean it up a little bit. And there you have the 3 by 3 cube. Actually, I need another layer. So I'm going to provide 3 more here, 3 more here. And 3 more here. All right, so that's what the model would look like for the drawing that needs to happen over here. So if your child does not need this model, that's fine. They can go ahead and just draw, but sometimes it's helpful to have the model.
When that worksheet is complete, go ahead and ask the in conclusion questions and then play card exchange again. Okay, in lesson 123, we will be making orthographic drawings. You will need the previous worksheet that we just worked on, which was 94 from lesson 122, as well as worksheet 95. Practice sheet 13 has another multivide, so you could either do that before or after the lesson. Let's look at the first activity.
Okay, so the first activity is to build some stairs. So here I've laid out 3 tiles. I'm going to put 2 more on and then a third one on there for a total of 6 tiles. If you look at this from the front, you just see this line, and this line. That would be the front view. If you look at it from the top, all you see are 3 squares. And if you look at it from the side, you see the profile of the stairs. Where it goes 1 and then up another one and up another one. So what we want the child to be able to do is to recreate those views. So here are the stairs that we just built, and it's drawn for your child. Over here is the top view, the front view, and the side view. So the instructions say to color or shade the front view in both figures. So for example, these here could be shaded blue, and all 3 of these would be shaded blue. And then if the top was red, then these tops here would be red. And if the side was yellow, then we would shade this yellow. Then your child will move from the drawing already having been done for them to having to create the drawing themselves. So this is going to be a 4-stair figure. We just did a 3-1. They need to do a 4-stair figure and then do the top, front, and side views over here.
Okay, after that worksheet is finished, ask the in conclusion questions and then play distribution corners, which is P37 in the Math Card Games book. Lesson 124 has a correction on the worksheet. If your book was printed before March 10th of 2017, please follow the link in the description to find the correction. In this lesson, we're going to be working with pyramids and cones. Have your child complete the second multivide on practice sheet 13. And remember, you can have your student do those multivides before or after the lesson. It doesn't matter. Let's look at the views of the pyramid and what a truncated pyramid looks like. We'll also look at problem number 4.
Okay, so here we have the pyramid. Here is the front view. And not surprisingly, the side view looks exactly the same. But then we're going to show the top view. And so you can see, if you're looking directly down on the pyramid, what you see is a square with an X. So next we're going to talk about the word truncated. So truncated means to be chopped off. And in this case, we're looking at this pyramid and trying to decide what it would look like if the top was cut off. So in order to help your child see that, we suggest putting a rubber band around the pyramid, rolling it down so that it's just one line to see what it would look like if this part was cut off. So you can see the side view here. It would be a trapezoid, right? And then you can imagine if this was cut off, what would it look like? Well, the blue part of the rubber band shows you what it would look like. It would look like a square. Okay, for problem number 3, your child is going to be working with a cone, and the top view would be a circle. and the side view would be a triangle. But problem number 4 asks them to truncate the cone. So we're going to put the rubber band around again. And the top view would be 2 circles, 2 concentric circles, the bottom part and the rubber band part. And then the side view would look like this, just the chopped off cone. So your child is going to use, for problem number 3 and for the safety compass, you line up this center hole with the X, and you can just put your finger there, or you could put a pencil to hold it in that spot. And then it says that the diameter of the base is 4 units. So that's 4 units total. So that would be 2 on either side of the center. So you find the hole up here, there's little tiny holes. You match that up with where the line for 2 squares over is, and you stick your pencil in there and you draw the circle around. For this problem over here, remember you have 2 concentric circles. The first one is going to be just like this one over here, where there's 2 squares on either side of the center, but then that center circle is going to have, it's only going to be 1 square on either side of the center. So your child is just going to have to look for the circle that lines up with that 1 square intersection in order to draw the circle. And I'm not talking about these open circles here, but these little dots that you can probably not see, but you'll see it on your own safety compass.
Okay, go ahead and have your child complete the worksheet and answer the in conclusion questions, and then play any game of your choice. That's all for this week. See you next time. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye-bye.